welcome back to another edition of Rosie Talks. We are incredibly excited today. As many of you have seen before, we've been highlighting and looking at the amazing careers outlined and discussed in Ayonnah Tinsley's book, This Is What an Engineer Looks Like. Ayonnah is here today to interview Melissa Guevara, who is an assistant design engineer, and to talk about her journey and exploring civil engineering and all that comes with that. So with that, I am going to leave and let Ayonnah and Melissa introduce themselves to you and learn more about the amazing things that they're both doing.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining in. My name is Ayonnah Tinsley. I am a rising senior in high school and I'm also a STEAM advocate, and as Ms. Greer mentioned earlier, I am the author of This Is What an Engineer Looks Like. The purpose of my book is to show that there's so many different engineering jobs and there's diversity within them, but that there needs to be more representation. So pretty much the purpose of the book is, if you're ambitious in STEAM and changing the world, then you're exactly what an engineer looks like. I'm also involved in the varsity track team and student government at my school.
Hi, everybody. I'm Melissa Guevara. I am currently in my last semester to becoming a civil engineer. I'm currently an assistant design engineer at a land development consulting firm. And it's very true what Ayonnah says, that every field is very diverse. So that's something that I definitely was able to find out throughout my college journey. And yeah, I'm so excited to talk about it.
Awesome. So my first question is, what really inspired you to go into a STEM job such as civil engineering?
So I've always liked math and science growing up. I think those are my two favorite subjects. Always. So I knew that when it was time to go after a career or, pick a major in college, I knew that I was going to stick to either of those. But I really wasn't sure at first. At first, I was very indecisive, but as long as I had that in the back of my mind, I knew I was going to be okay. And I knew I was going to pick the right career for me.
That's awesome. So what is the best part of your college experience or the best part of your job as of right now?
Right now, I love to design. I think being creative for me is like the most fun part of my job. There's a lot of technical things, a lot of, research to do still, a lot of calculations, a lot of math that I do that I also enjoy. But being creative for me is the most exciting part of my job.
Could you go through a little bit of the day in your life, whether it's at your job or at your college, and how you incorporate design throughout it?
Yes. So right now, since I'm in my last year of college, I usually take my classes in the evening. So they're kind of long, but it's usually after work. So usually my day is a day of work and then my class at night. And during the day, my day is usually the same, usually in the office. I'm usually doing calculations, doing research and design in the office, but there's also days where I get to do site visits. And usually the site visits are for different projects. So my day is always changing. Even though I am meant to be in the office, I still get to go out.
That's great. So what's one of the more challenging parts of your job?
The most challenging part of my job is learning, I would say. And I think that's actually a great thing because I always want to be learning, and there's always room for learning in everything. There's room for learning in math, there's room for learning in designs. Yeah. And every project is different. So you never know what you're going to get into until you're actually working on something.
Yeah, love that answer. So with that learning, what do you think the future of civil engineering will look like, whether it's being more environmentally friendly or like even more techniques?
Well, I think the future of engineering is definitely going to improve. As long as, everything keeps growing in diversity, I think there's definitely going to be more innovation. There's going to be, more things to advance projects such as technology, Environmental wise, I think everything is also becoming better. And I think it's great.
Awesome. So I know that like with of course calculations and everything that could be so challenging. So like when you're really stuck somewhere, do you have any advice for anyone else how to get out of this like rut or how to like think differently, more outside the box when needed to?
Definitely ask questions.
Okay.
Sometimes I do try to figure it out on my own, and I try different methods, different calculations, but always ask a question to somebody that has experience.
Mhm.
And I'm a visual learner, so when I see somebody work out a problem that I couldn't do, I learn it right away, and I'm like, okay, I got it.
Awesome. So I really love your Instagram account and all the information that you post about it. Can you kind of give me a reason like why you started the account or your mission going throughout it?
Thank you. Yes, so my Instagram is the Civil Engineer Girl. It actually was a random idea after COVID-19 impacted everything, impacted my school, my job, and I was home and I had more free time on my hands.
Mhm.
I was just thinking of ways where I can be more connected to my community
Yeah.
because I wasn't in school, so I wasn't really connecting with anybody in school.
Mhm.
And I just came up with the idea because I'm always like on Instagram, always looking at
Yeah.
different accounts. So I was like, I'm going to do that. Like, I want to be a part of that. And yeah, and I just created it. And my focus was mostly to help students in the civil engineering field with things such as like the FE exam or the PE exam, which is very specific to civil engineering.
Yeah.
But then I kind of grew out of that and I kind of grew into just becoming a STEM advocate and just trying to encourage people that look like me or that just look like anybody else to become a STEM major.
Yeah, I know. I love that. I know the STEM community on Instagram is like so great. I've been able to see
Yeah,
so many inspirations throughout it, including you. Hey,
yeah, I
so
love
what's
that.
something that you wish you knew before going into college? Like something that maybe teachers didn't talk about when going to engineering field in the college level?
Definitely the difficulty of it. Because in high school, I always did great. I always had good grades.
Hmm.
But like in college, you're on your own completely. And you just need a lot of discipline within yourself. And you need to learn how to manage all your classes and your whole schedule throughout the day. Like it's harder than it seemed to me at the
Yeah.
time when I was in high school. So if I just knew that before getting into it, I think I would have prepared a little bit better.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think I was okay.
Do you have any tips on organization? Like, do you like using a planner, or are you more about like setting timers for throughout your day?
Yes, a planner.
There
Yes,
you
I actually use my own Excel sheet.
go. Hmm.
But I do encourage other people to use like a personal planner or even their phones. It definitely helps so much because when you're a busy person, you have a little bit of free time on your hands and you have to, know how to use it and how to plan out your days. Even just planning out like a little bit of relaxed time is so important. And that's something that I realized throughout the years.
Yeah, we love self-care. So if is there any advice that you would give to to a girl or yourself if when you were in elementary school?
Yes, I think it's a very, very important to be curious, just to ask questions, just to want to find out the answers to everything. I think that's the most important thing because if you're curious at a very young age and you want to keep being curious, you're just going to be like that for the rest of your life. And that's the whole point. You want to learn things every day, you want to learn more. And yeah.
So do you mind sharing with me one of the most interesting things that you've actually learned throughout your job?
I definitely learned that teamwork makes the dream work. Like I've always known that, but it's so important the way teams work and how everybody plays a big role no matter what you do.
Hmm.
It's so important, and everything just flows that way, and everything gets done uh, quickly and to the best that it can be done when everybody puts in 100%. I feel like in college when I did group projects, or even high school when I did group projects, I didn't really realize how important it was to put in 100%, but now it definitely counts.
Yeah. So let's say that someone has kind of like more trouble, wants to get into engineering, but they kind of have more trouble working in groups. Would you have any advice for them?
Yeah, I think that sometimes when people don't like to work in groups, that they may be a little bit more reserved, but I think that's okay as long as you are having your own input in some kind of way. I think you're still being a team player. I don't think you have to be super into it or super involved, but as
Yeah,
long as you're putting in your part, you're definitely a team player.
that's great. So I was wondering, kind of like outside of engineering, what are some of your hobbies or interests?
I love music. I like to dance. That's really what I do. I mean, right now I can't really go to any concerts
Yeah.
or anything like that, but that's definitely something that I like to do. I like to invest my time into. And growing up, I was actually a very musical person. I even thought about pursuing music. So that's definitely something that I'm very passionate about as well.
So I know that there's like so many different types of programs and clubs in college. So I was wondering, do you take a part in either the SWEET programs or any clubs in college?
Yeah, so ASCE is
Mhm.
definitely a great club that has a lot of different mini clubs within it.
Yeah.
So they have the Timber Bridge committee, they have the Doghouse building committee. It's really interesting. I also was a part of the National Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers. They go by SHEP. And that was actually one of the most helpful clubs that I could have joined. They really opened my eyes to how important it was to get out there and try different internships and try different experiences and different research, because that helped me grow as not only an engineer but a professional. So that was very, very cool to experience.
Do you think that more chapters of that club should be implemented into more like high school levels as well?
Yes, for sure. Actually, in SHEP, there was a committee. It was called the High School Committee, I believe, and they went out to different high schools around that area, around Newark, New Jersey, and they actually went to speak with younger students, and they even did different projects and different experiments. And I think that's so cool. I think that probably sparked an interest in engineering
Yeah.
for students that were about to graduate or still in school.
Awesome. So I know that like we've all seen a kind of digital transformation happen, especially after quarantine. So do you think that with your job as of now, that civil engineering will start to take up even more types of versions of technology to go with the digital transformation that's coming on right now, like keep up with these?
Yes, I'm actually happy you brought that up because lately I've realized that it changed not just for engineering, but a lot of different towns and their municipalities and how they work. So I work for a land development consulting firm, and what we have to do before we can launch a project is get an approval for the project. So it has to go by all the city standards, and now we have to submit our plans digitally and through a CD or USB and send it in that way. And it's actually cool because we're not printing big amounts of paper and plans and wasting paper in that way. Yeah, but it's definitely affecting everybody, as well as us as engineers. And we're also definitely more on Zoom and Microsoft Teams.
Yeah.
And I think that's actually really good because we get to update each other still, even though we're not face to face all the time.
That's so great to hear. And then, so with your main focus in civil engineering being design, so I was wondering, do you mostly design buildings or do you also work in infrastructure? Like, do you have a certain concentration in what you build or design?
Yes. So I don't really design the buildings itself.
Mhm.
That's more of the architects job. What I design is infrastructure and water systems and water management systems. I also design like the parking layout. It's actually more tricky than you would think. Trying to fit all the parking spots maybe in a little lot and a big lot.
I completely see that.
Yes. So it's a lot of design, but it's also like math and critical thinking and that. And then you had to figure out where you're going to place the building. So it's design, but it's a lot of like critical thinking, math as well.
I was also wondering, do you have a kind of like goal project site that you would like to work on, or like a goal actual infrastructure that you want to work on and try to work on in the future?
Yeah, so nothing in specific, but I love working on urban projects. I think those are more complex and more interesting because there's a lot to work with. It's not just fields of grass that you get to work with. A lot of times it's a lot of buildings or a lot of different commercial buildings around it. So you have to figure out the best way to manage everything and design everything. So I definitely like urban projects more. I think those are more interesting to me.
Awesome. So are there any misconceptions about civil engineering that you see to be false or anything like that?
Well, something that I didn't know is that I had to work with a lot of people all the time.
Oh, yeah.
I thought engineering was very like focused on math and science, but it's more to that. It's more about depending on what kind of engineering major you choose, you definitely explore that more than math and science. It's more like well-rounded, I would say, in every engineering major. So you definitely ask a lot of questions and speak with a lot of different people. It's not like you're just studying. It's definitely more about communicating with everything and just finding out as much as you can.
And so do you have to communicate with like a lot of actual different branches of the engineering? Like, do you get to work with electrical engineers, even more branches?
So yes, so we speak with different planners, architects, surveyors, which is another type of civil engineer, and geotechnical engineers and traffic engineers. So we definitely work with those people the most. And also city engineers, so people that work for different city branches. Yes, as we're not just speaking with just design civil engineers, we speak with a lot of different people.
I didn't even know surveyors and city engineers existed. I really feel like they should teach that about school. Okay, so I think my last question here is, where do you see yourself in around 10 to 15 years?
That's a great question. So I'm always a very ambitious person. I've always been an ambitious person. So I like to think ahead. And I've actually thought about this for a long time. And I think that I would really love to have my own consulting firm. I know that's not going to be easy. I know I'm going to have to, figure it out. But I think that would be awesome, being able to have my own projects to call mine. I think that would be great. But the first step before getting there would be getting my professional engineering license. So right now I am on track to get that in, I believe, 4 or 5 years. That's when I would be able to qualify for it. So those two are my biggest goals for the future.
I am so excited to see that happen for you. I'm sure all the problem solving you do, like hosting your own consulting firm, should be no problem at all. Okay, so thank you so much for everything that you taught us today, and I've definitely learned a lot. So with Rosie Talks, we normally like to end with the "We Can Do It." So you want to say it on 3 together?
Sure.
Awesome. 1, 2, 3. We can do it. Awesome. Thank you so much for your time.